my name is Serena Ha, and I am Business Development Manager for CLO-SET. And I'm very honored to be here in this stage and even the last session. And I know that you guys are waiting for the later on part, so I will make sure to make it very clear and simple. But today, throughout this session, I would like to talk about where the vendor and brands can communicate and collaborate with CLO-SET based on the actual best workflow, and in what space, in what feature, and what results they can deliver. So in previous session, you already hear a lot of the service about the CLO-SET and CLO-SET Connect and CLO-3D. So throughout this session, you'll be able to see the actual example based on each processes, so that maybe after this session, you might think of your workflow in your company, then you might figure it out what's the hole in it, then maybe that's the time our CLO-SET team can jump in and support you guys. So this is the agenda that I would like to cover today. So firstly, I would like to highlight again what is CLO-SET. Then I want to explain about the CLO-SET hierarchical system. Then we will finally get into the brand and vendor workflow, and I will be more specified based on the brand and vendor's perspective. So as Simon explained, CLO-SET is a 3D creation workspace that maximizes the value of 3D assets to improve the communication and collaboration within the design development process with other stakeholders and efficiently manage the data included in 3D assets in one place. So in order to achieve and complete this online workspace, CLO-SET is, as a first step, CLO-SET especially provide the hierarchical system that are based on the 3D assets that are created and also communicated with other stakeholders in different departments. Pandemic and the more and more apparel companies are starting to create a 3D asset to achieve this 3D journey. And nowadays, I even see a lot of collections are signed off 100% in 3D. And however, saving them, managing them, and managing those 3D assets are different stories. So in order to provide the better asset management tool, CLO-SET is providing our own hierarchical system. And this is the presentation that actually Caroline shared with you guys in the previous presentation. So as you can see, we are having multiple levels of the menu structure. So actually, for the Hugo Boss situation, she actually shared the menu structure based on the Hugo Boss's actual organization structures. And likewise, based on your organization structure, you can actually customize the menu structure like this. So from the group level, you have a company level, and under the company, you can create multiple brands under your company. And especially this brand level, we have this space called company library, which is a data archive that makes and manages the 3D assets easier and faster. And I'm sure that Caroline actually highlighted about the usage of this company library later on, and we think that this feature is one of the core steps and the first step to initiate and onboard in CLO-SET in terms of the data management. And under the brand, there is a line, season, and workroom. So this workroom level is the actual space where you actually start communicating and collaborating based on the 3D asset with other people. And in this workroom level, depending on how you work with other people, such as vendors or the in-house designers, you can also customize the multiple workroom within the workroom level as well. So for example, here here, the Clover Virtual Fashion has our own apparel brand, and we co-create some of the design with the vendors, and also we do have in-house designers under our company. So in this case, we are putting this vendor and in-house on the same level, so that even though we have all assets in one space, other different parties and different assets can be managed in different spaces. So this is what we're aiming to achieve in terms of the data and asset management in the future. And additionally, once all the design development, product development process is happening, the reviewing process is very important, because each steps, like sometimes you have to decide the colorway or the items or assortments as well. So to do so, we are providing this another space called assortment room, where you can manage the data, not content by content, but all the contents can be all in one place. And by using the different features, you can also make a decision on that spaces as well. So this is the general CLO-SET asset management structure, but CLO-SET is not only provide this asset management structure to manage the asset in the right places, but also we grant distinct permissions to work in each spaces as well. So each space can have a different permission. So based on the role and responsibility of each person's or each members on your team, you can differentiate the permission as follows, like admin, collaborator, editor, and viewer. And especially when you're working with the external vendors, you can also manage them as in this workroom with the editor and viewer. And CLO-SET is trying to make the most efficient way to work with external parties at the same time. And like I explained previously, I would like to highlight again about the usage of the company library. So as you can see, the company library is a data archive for the shared items. And this is, think of this as a workroom, but not in the workroom level, but on the brand level. So if you have any shared item that you would like to share to start the design, you don't want to go all the way to the workroom level to find the asset that you really need to create the design. So in that case, what you can do is by utilizing this company library, you can manage the shared item like block items, block like patterns and trims and avatars, etc., so that the 3D designers or merchandiser can just easily take out the items from here. And on top of that, like Hugo Boss's cases, you can also differentiate the channel, the spaces, and permission. So if you have a specific shared item that you wish to share to the specific people, then you can also manage those items based on the permission system that we have. Okay, that was so far the CLO-SET's menu structure and the company library and then permission. And the reason why I wanted to highlight this page is because asset management to start this, the 3D journey is very important, and I think it's almost essential to actually survive and even lead the 3D journey like market in the future. And imagine like when the big data was like such a thing, like back in the days, and when we were trying to like implement all the PLM, the ERP system, when the integration was happening, it was so hard to gather all the data that are scattered like here and there. And we know that the 3D journey is coming, and we do not want to experience that again. So this is why I think this step is very important to start their journey and then prepare to be a part of the 3D industry in the future. Okay, then let's really get into the vendors and brand and vendors general workflow. So before we actually get into the actual examples, I try to consolidate the general workflow that brand and vendor can work together and how it looks like. And I know that I'm really making it very, very simple, so don't get offended. I know how complicated the actual organization and workflow it is. So please take it as a very general and simple way. So first step is a concept design. So brand will talk about the concept design, what's going to be the concept, what's going to be the vibe, based on their mood board, and they can be very creative on this stage. And once the concept design is decided, the design preparation process starts. And here, based on the situation where you whether you work with the co-creation with vendors or in-house designers, brand will prepare some of the 2D sketches or lean tech pack, etc. And those requirements will be sent to the vendor, and then vendor will actually create the 3D sample prototypes by making pattern data, and then by putting some basic shared items, etc. And vendor will also have their internal feedback by doing the 3D sample review, and then they will see what's going on and what should be the first initial asset that we wish to submit to the brand. And once that is ready, they will submit the 3D approved file as initial stage. And the brand will do the same thing. They will also give the feedback, they will review the whole process, and if there's any other changes that needs to be made, then another requirement will be sent. So as you can see in this product development, specifically design development process, until the design is signed off, this process was repeating over and over again by sending, sharing, managing so much data. And after that, once the design is completed and signed off, the line adoption kicks in. And in the meantime, the vendor will prepare all the render images and the good quality images for either presentation or for the later part on process. Then the production happens. So a lot of when we after 3D, industry 3D changes are happening these days. A lot of companies are trying not to make the physical sample and then try to directly produce the 3D sample. And still, some of the physical sample requires to make it in a physical way. So in this case, a lot of fit check and those type of processes happening between brand and vendors. And after production, as you can see, the brand will decide which items should be sell in which region, which stores, and which area. Then after that is over, then manufacturing, and then it's gonna be the go-to market. So this is the general workflow that I consolidated. And the point that I actually want to highlight here is what CLO-SET is focusing on to solve this process. So as you can see in this part, there is the brand and vendor linkages is happening. And CLO-SET thinks that even a little action, such as downloading, uploading, once that little action accumulated and scale up, we think that can cause the miscommunication, that can cause repetitive work, and that can cause a lot of time and effort in the end. So we try to focus on how to hatch, how to eliminate those type of little work, even in these little processes, so that you may think that it's very small changes, but in the end, once the process is happening again, that can actually save a lot of times and time, cost, and processes. So that's why CLO-SET is trying to develop more features based on this perspective for this entire processes. So from now on, from this slide, from a brand's point of view, I would like to show you what we are having based on each. You'll be able to see how brand can actually work in CLO-SET in what space, and also what feature, and what will be the output to deliver. So let's start with one by one. this. So first is concepts. So as you can see, first of all, the CLO-SET does not have a limitation of the file format. So you can upload a JPG, like GIF, like zip file, etc. You have no limitation of the file format, and also we don't have any limitation of the storage. So you can actually start the entire process by uploading the mood board that are created by Mirabeau or like illustration, like Photoshop, to like as a first asset. So if you actually can see here, this is the first asset, and then you can see all the versions are uploaded here. So this is how you can actually start the journey for each content. And we were thinking, well, anyway, to provide the mood board, the user has to use the different channels. And since we already have like 2D images and all the data like in CLO-SET, why don't we provide a mood board functions in CLO-SET, so that they don't have to use other channels to upload this one. So in that sense, what we are also planning to develop is to provide this mood board function called trend book, so that designers or merchandiser can be more creative with the asset that we are providing and make it a more casual way to actually decide the concept. So that's what we are also planning to do. And the next step is design preparation. So in this stage, a lot of different assets has to be gathered and collected and then reviewed to start the design, right? And this is the stage where the company library that I was talking about for the asset management can be very beneficial. Because we already set up all the basic items and all the basic information that you needed for design is already stored in very good way. So as long as you favorite the item, you can actually make the direct instant connection with Clo3D. And I will talk about that in the next slide. And sometimes when designers are designing the items, like, okay, like I need that and then this, and then sometimes like, okay, I don't think I have enough like asset for trim, or I don't think I need like, I might need to get more inspiration, or I may need to see some trim. Then what you can do is go to this Connect, which is the online market. And in the previous presentation, Simon was actually explaining about what it is. So you can actually go and explore more resources, such as like a trim and even the garment, and even like you can also see the individual other designers' work as well. So you can get more resources and also as well as the inspiration as well. And once you find resources over here, you can also download the trims and save it back to the CLO-SET, so you can have additional asset on your management system. And then all the items are ready to go. Then what you can do is by using this CLO-SET in CLO, when you favorite the items in CLO-SET, you don't have to download and upload it into your laptop. What you can do is you can favorite the item, then directly those favorited item will be shown in Clo3D as long as you connect with your account of your CLO-SET, so that whenever you need something, you can just simply drag and drop those items into Clo3D. So this is the first step that we thought that might be very helpful to like eliminate and hatch the little actions, because you don't have to download and upload all the times. And after the design is finished, the next step will be another uploading and downloading, right? And to eliminate that action as well, what we are providing is this little button in Clo3D where you can directly upload via CLO-SET. So when you're clicking the button over there, you can actually upload your asset directly into CLO-SET without downloading in your local PC. And what you can do is we already started with the initial asset with the mood board, right? And then you can actually version upload it on your current contents, so that all the historical data can be stored as a newer version. And in terms of this history that you can see and all the actions that you can see, I like to highlight that, like all the data management system, it's great to have it, but the thing is that only the result data can be shown and stored. So sometimes, there must have like a bottlenecks of this process, and sometimes that happen within the process, within the communication, or within some, miscommunication as well. But as if only the resulted data is, saved in the data management, you can find that out. But if you actually store all the data and then start communicating with other people here in CLO-SET, you'll be able to see what's the bottleneck here, and what we actually found out with this person and with that person. You actually will see the whole data transparency of the entire process and content by content. So that's another beneficial thing that CLO-SET is providing as a historical data. And once that is uploaded, the little communication can be started. So we are providing a simple collaboration tool, such as like a comment, annotation, and an attachment as well. And sometimes when you're talking to someone, you might need to invite someone as well to show this garment as soon as possible. Then what you can do is by using this sharing people feature, you can just directly share the permission to the certain people who really need to be involved this process right away. And CLO-SET is not only providing the communication tool that you can actually communicate, talk and collaborate, but also to provide various features that can be engaged into the design development in real time. So as you can see, you can actually directly change the colorway and also add the colorway and the material, etc. And what we are planning to do, what we are planning to develop is to sync this data with the CLO-3D assets. So for example, in near future, if you actually add the colorway in CLO-SET, that added color will be directly applied into the 3D asset that you created, so that you don't have to go back to CLO-3D and add the same colorway that you added in CLO-SET. So those type of linkages will be happening in the future, and that will actually also save a lot of energy, time, and cost, etc. And another feature that I would like to highlight is a rendering feature. So as you might know, we are operating the separated rendering server in CLO-SET. So a lot of times, if you actually request a rendering, the entire computer, your laptop stops until the process is completed. But since we are operating it separately, as long as you request the rendering process, we will do that for you, and then you can simultaneously work your task at the same time. And when everything is signed off, the line adoption is kicked in. And as I explained about the assortment room, this is where you can actually review all the items at the same time. And Jessica actually briefly introduced about this feature. And what's good about this is, as long as you are ready with all the results in the original content, you also can see the rendered images, and not only the 3D asset, but also the rendered images that you already worked into the original contents can be seen here. So we are also providing some pinning options for the colorway as well. So whenever you have the decision-making process, whether you what kind of color that you wish to produce, then you can also utilize this color pinning options, so that you can actually take out export the line sheet based on the pinned the colorway that you decided. And sometimes, you tend to see not just the content by contents, but coordination of the contents as well. So because of that, we recently launched this mix and match features too, so that you can just simply click the items that you like to match as an outfit from the assortment room, so that you can see what's going to be the vibe, what's going to be look like of the whole collection. And we recently launched this one, and then this is recently the most favorited like features from our users. So you also can save as a images PNG file with the gradient background. So not even just to see, but you also can utilize that asset into your presentation or any other documents that you need. And when the production is happening, this is the WebTech feature. So as I already explained, and also Simon explained, our biggest goal is to maximize the 3D assets. So in this one little file, we have so much data, metadata that has so much potential and so much availability. So in CLO-SET, what we're trying to do is to show in a different way of what we have in this one file. So this is what we have to auto-generate the data that can be successfully inputted in CLO-3D, and you can see the BOM, the point of measurement data in here without inputting all the data every time. And when you're actually version uploading the file with the changes of numbers of your data in CLO-3D, this also can be version uploaded automatically so that you can actually see what was the changes so far based on each versions. And also the construction tab here is also a recent feature that we recently launched, and this is going to be a very great tool to communicate with vendor and brand together. Since we are automatically marked based on the pattern data, you can just simply make a comment and annotation based on these marks. And later on, the assortment planning is coming within this year. So so far, CLO-SET was very focusing on to develop the design development part. And CLO-SET was so far very beneficial for designers. But since we would like to maximize the 3D asset again, we want more people to use these services and want more people to utilize these assets. So that's what we are actually working on these days, so that not only the designers, but also the sales department and merchandisers can be involved in this process by reviewing the 3D assets. So one of the roadmap that we are planning is this range plan and range board. So you used to see all the data content by content before, but now you will be able to see all the content in one place by different view mode, and also you can create this range board section, as you can see, so that you can actually freely move change the garments that you wish to manage for each assortment room. And the important thing for this is we really care about the data linkage. So it's not just the image that you can actually save as a JPEG. So if you actually hover your mouse over each item, you'll even be able to see the simple description of the data of the garment. And once that is ready and uploaded, and we will be highlighted the changes that you made too. So data linkage is going to be a very essential and very important part that we are actually challenging on this project. So once that is launched, and it will be very beneficial to see all the linkage of data, and it will be very beneficial to visualize the data linkage that we're aiming to achieve. And at the same time, we are also planning to provide a virtual showroom, since we see so many needs and desires to have this virtual showroom from client side. So we decided to make it a prioritize and start making this project recently. Okay, so it's time to go to market. Item will be manufactured, right? And then sometimes the manufacturing, the processes takes longer, and then including the shipment and everything. We don't want to waste our time while we're waiting for the actual items to come to the stores. So to do that, what we are providing is this embed viewer and virtual fitting service. So as long as you make a 3D asset include 3D ready, you can simply export the embed URL, the feeding service URL, and then insert in your e-commerce website. So before they actually, launch the items, the customer actually can try the garments on based on their body, and then they can create their own avatar, and they can see the fits, and they can also see the size of the garments and different colors ways of the items here. So this was so far the brand's perspective, and now I would like to move on to the vendor's perspective. Since I explained the entire processes so far from the vendor point of view, I would like to just focus on the linkage part with the vendors as well. So this is same as the brand's perspective. So based on each processes, you'll be able to see how vendor can work in what space, in what functions, in what output. The thing that I would like to highlight in this presentation is when we're having a lot of meetings with the brands, their biggest concern was, since all the paying the user has to be under the one group, the brand has to pay for the vendor's usage. And that was the biggest concern from brands, to budget their asset and can't really control the usage as well. So we actually focused on how to solve this issue. So now, after developing some of the features that we have, the vendor group they have their own group, so that they can actually seamlessly communicate with CLO-SET, the vendor side as well. So it's no longer to vendor to be on the brand side only, but also vendor can also have their own group, and they can also have their own communication platform as well. And also, I am showing you the best practice scenario. So that doesn't mean that the one feature can be only utilized in this process. Likewise, in vendors perspective, you'll be able to see some of the same feature that can be utilized in the different processes based on what kind of client, what kind of user you are. So to start with, when the vendor gets the requirements from the brand, you'll be able to see the 2D tech pack, to the images initial requirements as an attachment in CLO-SET. And once you get the attachment from the brand, you can actually start working on to develop and create the asset. And within this process, what vendor can actually work on is to utilize this construction tab to have an initial communication with internal team or even the supplier to begin with. And the construction tab can be actually utilized in the last process from the vendor perspective, brand perspective, to communicate with vendors. But if you're a vendor side, the construction tab can be utilized from the beginning as well. And here is the most important part from vendor perspective. So I actually made a little bit of a role play, and I would like to show you which person is how they can actually work in this process. So once the requirement is ready, the pattern maker will upload the 2D file as a DXF file format in this attachment room. So once the requirement is delivered from the brand side, the 2D pattern makers will upload the pattern data here. And when 3D designer actually check out this file, what they do is to search the assets from company library. So they will prepare all the assets they need to use to create an initial 3D file, and then they will be using this library by using the CLO-SET and CLO features, and they will start create the 3D file. And once they create the 3D file, within their group, they will version upload, and they will upload the item into the CLO-SET. Then the 3D quality assurance merchandiser will actually check the items and start exchanging the feedback by using this communication tool. So like you can see, this is the example. by using the annotation or like making comments and by tagging someone, tagging people on here, and also adding additional colorway, and also add some additional attachment, and also to share the permission with the people. So this is the exact same thing that I explained previously. And the whole processes, the changes happen a lot of times. So there needs to be, people need to be aware what has changed. And in order to actually manage the entire processes, you also can utilize this workflow status like this. And the workflow status can be all managed and customized based on your organization as well, so that whenever each step is happening, that everyone can be aware what's happening in each contents in workroom. And lastly, from the vendor perspective, they start the rendering and the other process will be proceeded. But at the same time, what actually vendor can utilize by using this trend book is not the mood board, but they can actually make their own lookbook to make a sales point to the other buyers as well. And this can be very utilized. This can be very beneficial for vendors for this purposes, not the mood board that brand can actually use. And lastly, for the presentation, they also can utilize this assortment room, not to make a decision, but to show their garments, their project files to the buyers. And in the same sense, by using this embed URL, the fitting service also can be very beneficial for buyers to showcase their samples to the buyers. So this was so far the brands and vendors workflow, and then I tried to make an example and what kind of the core features that you can utilize under each steps. And as you can see, I'm trying to show the possibility and potential of CLO-SET and how much we can actually achieve the entire process in CLO-SET based on your workflow. But that doesn't mean that you have to take all steps in at once. And the most important thing throughout this presentation is that I want you to say that please, if you actually understand your own workflow and your own organization situation, then if you can find a little hole, even one hole out of your workflow, then that's the great start that you can actually one step in with CLO-SET. And once you actually one step into the CLO-SET, then that's the start point for onboarding these services. So if you are having a hard time to finding a little hole based on your workflow, please find us. We will be happy to support you find the little hole that you have. And I hope this presentation was helpful, and thank you for listening.